Remember those classic Canadian meals that seem to disappear overnight? The ones you could only find in old family cookbooks or hear about from your parents? These dishes once filled kitchens with comforting smells and turned simple dinners into memorable family moments. Today, we're taking a look back at 30 Canadian meals that vanished after the 1980s, bringing nostalgia to the table. Hostess potato chips were once one of Canada's most beloved snack brands, an iconic presence on grocery store shelves and in lunchboxes throughout the 1970s and 1980s. For many Canadians, the name Hostess was practically synonymous with potato chips. Founded in 1935 in Cambridge, Ontario, Hostess grew rapidly to become a household name, known for its distinctive bright packaging and its classic simple flavors such as plain, barbecue, salt and vinegar, and ketchup. The brand embodied a distinctly Canadian style of snacking, straightforward, familiar, and always tied to moments of sharing, whether at hockey games, picnics, or school outings. Through the 1970s and early 1980s, Hostess dominated the Canadian chip market, often holding over 80% of national sales. Advertising campaigns featuring catchy jingles and cheerful mascots made the brand feel friendly and local, while its bold flavors, especially ketchup and dill pickle, cemented its status as a true Canadian favorite. However, by the late 1980s, the snack landscape was changing. American competitors were expanding north, bringing with them slicker marketing, new textures, and a broader variety of products. At the same time, Hostess's parent company, General Foods, sought to streamline operations and unify brands across borders. In 1987, Hostess entered into a partnership with the US snack giant Frito-Lay, a move that marked the beginning of the end for the Hostess brand name. Over the next several years, products were gradually rebranded under the Lay's label, and by 1996, the once familiar Hostess logo had disappeared entirely from store shelves. For many Canadians, it felt like losing a piece of national identity, a quiet but meaningful shift as global brands replaced local favorites. Today, longtime fans still reminisce about tearing open a crinkly Hostess bag, inhaling the salty aroma, and diving into the thin, perfectly crispy chips that defined Canadian childhoods. Online forums and nostalgia groups often feature people sharing memories of their favorite Hostess flavors, or trading vintage chip bags found on auction sites. Though Lay's continues to produce many of the same flavors that Hostess pioneered, for many, it's not quite the same. Hostess potato chips remain a cherished symbol of a simpler era of Canadian snacking, one that vanished after the 1980s but still lingers fondly in memory. Squirrel peanut butter was once a staple in Canadian kitchens, remembered fondly for its rich flavor and its signature single peanut perched on top of every freshly opened jar. Introduced in the mid-20th century, Squirrel quickly became one of Canada's most recognizable peanut butter brands, rivaling Kraft and Skippy for dominance on store shelves. It was originally produced by Canada Packers, and unlike some of its competitors, it proudly marketed itself as Made in Canada, using roasted peanuts that gave it a distinctively hearty roasted taste. Many Canadians who grew up in the 1960s through the 1980s recall Squirrel as the taste of their childhood, spread on toast, used in homemade cookies, or packed into school lunches with a dollop of jam. Part of what made squirrel peanut butter unique was its texture and recipe. It came in both smooth and crunchy varieties, but even the smooth version had a natural, slightly oily consistency that felt less processed than other commercial brands. The famous peanut resting on top of each jar was a small but powerful branding choice. A playful detail that reminded customers of the product's authenticity and freshness. Advertising campaigns from the 1970s leaned heavily on that imagery, emphasizing the brand's real peanut goodness and wholesome Canadian identity. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, however, squirrel began to fade from prominence. Corporate acquisitions and shifting consumer habits changed the Canadian peanut butter landscape. Canada Packers sold the brand, and after passing through a few ownership hands, Squirrel was eventually acquired by J.M. Smucker, the company behind several major North American spreads. In the process, production was moved out of Canada, and Squirrel's unique formula and identity were gradually phased out in favor of the more globally recognizable Skippy brand. For many Canadians, the disappearance of squirrel peanut butter felt personal. It wasn't just another grocery item. It was a taste that evoked family breakfasts and home baking traditions. Even today, nostalgic food enthusiasts reminisce online, sharing photos of vintage jars or recreating the flavor from memory. Squirrel peanut butter may have vanished from shelves decades ago, but its legacy lives on as a sweet reminder of Canada's homegrown food heritage and the small details, like that single peanut, that made it special. Clearly Canadian was one of the most memorable beverage sensations to come out of late 1980s and early 1990s Canada. A sparkling flavored water that perfectly captured the era's fascination with health-conscious indulgence and stylish packaging. Launched in 1987 in British Columbia, the drink quickly became a cultural phenomenon across the country and beyond. Its distinctive tear-shaped glass bottle with the bold, clearly Canadian logo and bright pastel hues stood out from everything else on the shelves. It wasn't soda, but it wasn't boring water either. It was something refreshing, clean, and unmistakably modern. The original flavors, wild cherry, mountain blackberry, country raspberry, and orchard peach, were light, fruity, and slightly sweetened, giving Canadians a refreshing alternative to sugary colas. At a time when bottled water was still considered something of a luxury item, Clearly Canadian was marketed as a premium, homegrown brand that embodied the purity of Canada's natural landscapes. Its commercials often showcased pristine lakes, forests, and mountain streams, tying the beverage to an idealized image of Canadian freshness and quality. By the early 1990s, Clearly Canadian had achieved near iconic status. It became a staple in school cafeterias, vending machines, and convenience stores, and even found success in the United States and overseas. The brand represented a new kind of cool, trendy, health-forward, and distinctively Canadian. Yet despite its early triumphs, Clearly Canadian's fortunes began to wane toward the late 1990s. Increased competition from global beverage giants, shifting consumer tastes, and financial mismanagement slowly eroded its market share. The glass bottles that once symbolized quality became costly to produce and distribute, and the company struggled to adapt to plastic packaging and evolving marketing trends. By the early 2000s, Clearly Canadian had largely disappeared from mainstream stores, leaving behind a devoted fan base that reminisced about its crisp taste and nostalgic aesthetic. However, its story didn't end there. A passionate online movement in the 2000s led to a limited revival of the drink, proving that nostalgia for the brand was still strong. Even if it never fully regained its former prominence, Clearly Canadian remains a beloved piece of Canadian pop culture history, a sparkling symbol of a time when a simple bottle of flavored water could capture the imagination of a generation. Bugles were one of those snacks that instantly transported Canadians back to their childhoods. A crunchy, cone-shaped treat that seemed to straddle the line between playful and delicious. Introduced in Canada during the late 1960s and widely popular through the 1970s and 1980s, Bugles were produced by General Mills and quickly became a staple of Canadian pantries and lunchboxes. Their unique shape, a hollow corn horn that fit perfectly over your fingertips, made them more than just a snack. For countless kids, Bugles were as much a toy as they were food, leading to the enduring memory of wearing them as claws before devouring them one by one. The appeal of Bugles lay in their texture and simplicity. Made from cornmeal and lightly salted, they offered a satisfying crunch that was lighter than a chip but heartier than popcorn. They came in a handful of flavors over the years, including original, nacho cheese, and barbecue, though the plain salted version remained the fan favorite. Their marketing often emphasized fun, whimsy, and creativity, perfect for the lunchbox era of the 1980s, when snacks were as much about personality as taste. In Canada, Bugles were initially produced under the Hostess and later General Mills brands, and they held their own against heavyweights like Doritos and Ruffles. However, as snack options expanded in the 1990s and consumer preferences shifted toward new textures and flavors, Bugles began to lose shelf space. Distribution became sporadic, and by the early 2000s, they had quietly disappeared from most Canadian grocery stores, much to the disappointment of nostalgic snack lovers. For a time, Bugles continued to be available in the United States, and Canadians living near the border would sometimes bring back bags from cross-border shopping trips, treating them like a rare treasure. Occasional reappearances at dollar stores or limited-time promotions sparked waves of excitement online, but these moments were fleeting. Today, Bugles occupy a special place in the collective Canadian memory, a reminder of simpler times, childhood fun, and snack aisles that once offered more imagination. Though they may come and go in availability, Bugles remain one of those quintessentially nostalgic treats that symbolize the golden age of Canadian snacking in the 1980s. Mars, Canadian version, bar, was once a distinctively Canadian treat, a rich, chewy chocolate bar that stood apart from its global counterparts and held a special place in the country's confectionery history. Introduced to Canada decades ago, the Mars bar became one of the most popular chocolate bars throughout the 1970s and 1980s. Instantly recognizable for its dense caramel, soft nougat, and smooth milk chocolate coating. What made it unique, however, was that the Canadian version was not the same as the one sold in the United States or even the United Kingdom. In fact, it had its own recipe, sweeter, creamier, and with a different balance of caramel and nougat, that Canadian fans fiercely defended as the real Mars bar. In the 1980s, the Canadian Mars bar was a fixture in lunchrooms, corner stores, and vending machines. It was the perfect mid-afternoon pick-me-up, often enjoyed frozen or melted over ice cream for an indulgent treat. Many Canadians remember its advertising campaigns that emphasized energy, adventure, and satisfaction, fitting for a generation that saw the chocolate bar as both comfort food and reward. It became a symbol of every Dunkaroos were one of the most iconic Canadian snacks of the late 1980s and 1990s, capturing the pure joy of childhood snacking in a way few other treats ever did. Introduced by Betty Crocker in 1988, Dunkaroos were an instant hit across Canada. The concept was brilliantly simple, yet irresistibly fun. Small, crunchy cookies paired with a separate compartment of creamy frosting for dipping. Each package was like a mini dessert adventure, giving kids the feeling of control and creativity as they dunked, swirled, and savored every bite. The earliest Dunkaroos featured vanilla cookies shaped like kangaroos and came with classic frosting flavors like chocolate or vanilla with colorful sprinkles. Their mascot, the cool and energetic cartoon kangaroo named Duncan, was a hit with children, often appearing in bright, high-energy TV commercials that made Dunkaroos seem like the ultimate playground snack. By the early 1990s, they had become a lunchbox staple across Canada, often traded in school cafeterias and remembered for the thrill of peeling back the lid to reveal that perfectly smooth pool of frosting. Part of what made Dunkaroos so beloved was their sense of indulgence. At a time when most snacks were marketed as wholesome or practical, Dunkaroos leaned into being a treat, sweet, fun, and unapologetically messy. Parents might have hesitated at the sugar content, but for kids, Dunkaroos felt like a little celebration in every pack. However, by the early 2000s, changing nutritional standards, health-conscious marketing, and declining sales led to their discontinuation in both Canada and the United States. For nearly 2 decades, Dunkaroos existed only as a fond memory, frequently mentioned in nostalgic conversations about the best snacks of the 1990s. Their absence created an almost mythical longing. Fans scoured eBay for unopened packs or tried to recreate them at home with cookies and store-bought frosting. Then, in 2020, Dunkaroos made a limited comeback after years of public demand, sparking waves of nostalgia among Canadians who had grown up with them. While the new versions are slightly reformulated, the essence remains the same: cookies, frosting, and that irresistible feeling of childhood joy. For many Canadians, Dunkaroos are more than a snack. They're a sugary, playful symbol of an era when fun ruled the lunchbox. Yoplait tubes were one of the defining snack trends of late 1980s and 1990s Canada, representing a playful, on-the-go twist on traditional yogurt. When they hit grocery shelves, they instantly appealed to kids and parents alike. Unlike regular yogurt cups that required a spoon, Yoplait tubes came in slender, squeezable pouches that made snacking fun, portable, and mess-free. You simply tore off one end, squeezed, and enjoyed. A perfect fit for lunchboxes, car rides, and after-school snacks. Marketed under names like Go-Gurt in the United States, the Canadian Yoplait tubes had their own distinct identity. They were colorful, energetic, and aimed squarely at the youth market. Commercials often showed kids laughing, playing, and squeezing their yogurt like it was an accessory to their fun, active lifestyles. The product's slogan revolved around freedom and creativity. No spoons, no rules, just yogurt your way. With bright packaging, quirky flavor names, and cartoonish designs, Yoplait tubes felt like a snack made for kids, not just one given to them. The flavors became instant favorites. Strawberry Explosion, Berry Blast, and Watermelon Wave were among the most popular. Parents appreciated that Yoplait tubes were made from real yogurt, often fortified with calcium and vitamin D, offering a semblance of nutrition that justified their place alongside cookies and fruit snacks. Kids loved the fun of freezing them into icy tubes on hot summer days, turning a simple yogurt snack into something closer to a treat. Despite their huge popularity, Yoplait tubes began to fade from Canadian shelves in the 2010s. Health trends shifted, and concerns about sugar content in children's snacks grew. As a result, many grocery stores began reducing their selection of flavored and novelty yogurts in favor of plainer, low-sugar alternatives. Competition from new yogurt products like drinkable yogurts and Greek-style varieties also made it harder for Yoplait tubes to stand out. Today, Yoplait tubes live on in memory as a nostalgic reminder of a more carefree snacking era, one defined by bright packaging, bold flavors, and the pure joy of squeezing yogurt straight from the tube. For many Canadians, they're a sweet, slightly silly emblem of growing up in the 1990s, when snacks were as much about fun as they were about food. Del Monte fruit snacks were a staple of Canadian childhoods during the 1980s and early 1990s, offering a sweet, chewy alternative to candy that parents could feel slightly better about. Produced by Del Monte, a company already known for its canned fruits and juices, these fruit snacks were marketed as a convenient, portable way to enjoy fruit flavors without the mess of fresh fruit. They quickly became a popular addition to school lunches, after-school treats, and snack cupboards, beloved for their bright colors, fun shapes, and fruity taste. The appeal of Del Monte fruit snacks lay in their playful, bite-sized design. They were often molded into shapes like bears, stars, or fruit slices, making them visually engaging and fun to eat. Flavors included strawberry, orange, cherry, and grape, each one vibrant and sweet, with a chewy texture that kept kids coming back for more. Packaging emphasized convenience. Small resealable pouches made them easy to carry in backpacks or toss into lunch boxes without worrying about spills. Advertising during the 1980s reinforced their fun factor, often featuring energetic kids enjoying the snacks while being active outdoors, promoting them as both delicious and wholesome. Parents appreciated that, compared to candy, Del Monte fruit snacks were made with real fruit ingredients, although they were still sweetened to appeal to children. The balance of fruit content and sugar made them a compromise between health and indulgence, which contributed to their popularity. For many families, they became a regular snack choice, filling the gap between dessert and fruit. By the late 1990s, however, Del Monte fruit snacks began to fade from Canadian shelves. Competition from newer brands and changing consumer preferences, including a growing focus on low sugar and more natural snacks, caused the product to gradually disappear. Additionally, the market for fruit snacks became more crowded, with both American imports and Canadian alternatives capturing the attention of young snackers. Today, Del Monte fruit snacks are remembered with nostalgia by those who grew up enjoying them. They represent a simpler era of snacking, when treats were fun, colorful, and slightly healthier than candy, but still indulgent enough to feel like a reward. For many Canadians, they remain a sweet memory of childhood lunches, after-school snacks, and the small joys of growing up in the 1980s and early 1990s. Heinz Sandwich Spread was once a ubiquitous feature in Canadian kitchens, particularly throughout the 1970s and 1980s, offering a convenient, tangy solution for quick lunches and snacks. Marketed as a versatile sandwich condiment, it combined a creamy, slightly sweet mayonnaise base with finely chopped pickles, onions, and spices, resulting in a flavor profile that was both mild enough for children and interesting enough for adults. For many Canadians, Heinz Sandwich Spread became synonymous with school lunches, picnic sandwiches, and after-school snacks, earning a place alongside more familiar condiments like mustard and ketchup. One of the reasons for its popularity was its sheer convenience. Unlike homemade spreads or relishes, Heinz Sandwich Spread came ready to use in a glass jar, which meant parents could quickly prepare sandwiches without fuss. Its taste was distinctive. The balance of creamy, tangy, and slightly sweet notes made even a simple ham or turkey sandwich feel more flavorful. Many families developed their own rituals around it, often pairing it with classic lunchbox staples like sliced white bread, cold cuts, or cheddar cheese. Heinz's marketing reinforced this convenience, emphasizing the product as a quick way to make everyday sandwiches more enjoyable, especially for children who might otherwise find lunch monotonous. Despite its long-standing presence, Heinz Sandwich Spread began to decline in popularity by the late 1980s and 1990s. Changing consumer tastes, along with an influx of new condiments and sandwich fillings, gradually pushed it out of mainstream grocery stores. People were experimenting with more exotic or health-conscious alternatives, such as low-fat spreads, hummus, or artisan mustards, leaving the traditional, nostalgic sandwich spread behind. Production eventually slowed, and Heinz gradually discontinued the product in the Canadian market, leaving only memories of its unique taste and convenience. Today, Heinz Sandwich Spread remains a potent symbol of Canadian culinary nostalgia. For those who grew up enjoying it, the tangy, creamy flavor evokes memories of school lunches, simple weekday dinners, and the comforting routines of childhood. Though it has vanished from store shelves, its legacy persists online, in recipe forums, and in the fond recollections of those who miss that quintessentially Canadian sandwich staple, a small, flavorful icon of an earlier era of home snacking. Red River cereal was a beloved Canadian breakfast staple, particularly popular from the 1970s through the 1980s, known for its hearty, wholesome texture and nutty, slightly sweet flavor. Produced by the Red River Cereal Company in Winnipeg, Manitoba, it was made from a blend of cracked wheat, rye, and flax, creating a porridge-like cereal that was both filling and nutritious. For generations of Canadians, a bowl of Red River cereal symbolized a healthy start to the day, warm, comforting, and sustaining enough to fuel school mornings, work days, and family breakfasts alike. What set Red River cereal apart from other breakfast options of its era was its unique combination of grains and its slightly coarse texture, which made it feel substantial and satisfying. Unlike sugary cereals aimed primarily at children, Red River was marketed as a wholesome, adult-friendly option that emphasized nutrition and energy. It could be enjoyed hot, with milk or cream, or cold as an overnight cereal, making it versatile for a variety of tastes and schedules. Many Canadian families appreciated that it contained natural fiber and was a product made in Canada, reinforcing a sense of local pride in addition to its nutritional benefits. During the 1970s and 1980s, Red River cereal held a strong position on grocery store shelves across the country, frequently advertised in magazines and on television as a way to start the day right. Its warm, hearty taste and rustic, homey image resonated with consumers, who often paired it with a drizzle of honey, fruit, or a sprinkling of brown sugar. The cereal's packaging, typically featuring a bold red banner and wheat imagery, was instantly recognizable, further embedding it into Canadian culinary culture. However, by the 1990s, changing breakfast trends and the rise of highly processed, sweeter cereals contributed to a decline in Red River cereal's popularity. Many consumers began favoring instant oatmeal packets or colorful sugar-laden cereals marketed to children, leading to reduced shelf space for more traditional products. Though it never disappeared entirely, Red River cereal became less ubiquitous and is now often found only in select grocery stores or health food shops. Today, Red River cereal remains a nostalgic favorite for those who grew up with it, a reminder of a simpler, heartier breakfast era. Its legacy endures as a symbol of Canadian heritage in the kitchen, a wholesome, filling cereal that evokes the comfort of home-cooked mornings and the timeless appeal of a truly Canadian staple. Mae West Cake, original recipe, was one of Canada's most indulgent and beloved desserts throughout the 1970s and 1980s, offering a sweet escape for those with a penchant for rich, creamy treats. Produced by Hostess Canada, the Mae West was a chocolate cake sandwich filled with a smooth, decadent cream and coated in a thin layer of chocolate icing. Its signature appeal lay in the balance of textures and flavors. Soft, moist sponge cake, paired with a velvety sweet filling that made every bite a little moment of indulgence. The cake quickly became a popular choice for lunchboxes, after-school snacks, and afternoon treats, especially among children and teens who adored its combination of chocolate and cream. The original recipe of Mae West Cake distinguished it from other snack cakes on the market. While many competitors offered simple chocolate or vanilla varieties, Mae West was praised for its rich, thick filling and slightly firmer cake texture that held up well even after being carried in a lunchbox. Its elegant yet playful design, with smooth chocolate icing enveloping the sandwich, made it feel like a miniature dessert that could be enjoyed anywhere. Advertising in the 1980s often highlighted the indulgent, luxurious nature of the cake, appealing to both children and adults looking for a quick, sweet treat. As the years passed, Mae West Cake faced changes in ownership and production. By the 1990s, Hostess Canada had begun modifying recipes and packaging in response to shifts in consumer preferences, including health-conscious trends and the rise of new snack competitors. While the Mae West name continued, the original recipe gradually disappeared from shelves, leaving only the memory of the rich, creamy filling and soft chocolate sponge that had made it so iconic. Fans lamented that the flavor and texture of the original could never quite be replicated by newer versions. Today, the original Mae West cake holds a special place in Canadian snack nostalgia. Those who grew up enjoying it remember the joy of unwrapping a small chocolate-covered treat and savoring the perfect balance of cake and cream. Though it no longer exists in its original form, Mae West cake remains a symbol of Canada's snack cake golden age, a reminder of the decadent, simple pleasures that defined childhood indulgences in the 1980s. Cherry Blossom Candy Bar was a quintessential Canadian treat that captured the imaginations and taste buds of snack lovers during the 1970s and 1980s. Produced by Cadbury in Canada, this candy bar was known for its unique combination of flavors and textures. A whole maraschino cherry nestled in a sweet, thick cream center, all enrobed in a layer of milk chocolate. Unlike ordinary chocolate bars, Cherry Blossom offered a dramatic surprise in every bite, with the bright red cherry and smooth filling creating a decadent, indulgent experience that set it apart from other confections on the market. The appeal of Cherry Blossom lay in its elegance and indulgence. Its chewy, creamy center contrasted beautifully with the soft chocolate coating, while the cherry added a burst of fruity sweetness that made each bite memorable. It was not overly large, making it the perfect portion for a treat or a nostalgic snack after school or at the office. Marketing often emphasized the exotic, luxurious nature of the candy, highlighting it as a slightly more sophisticated alternative to ordinary chocolate bars. Its packaging, typically featuring bold red accents and an image of the cherry inside, reinforced its premium and playful image. During its heyday, Cherry Blossom candy bars were a fixture in Canadian corner stores, supermarkets, and vending machines. They were particularly popular around holidays, such as Valentine's Day, when their cherry-filled center made them a natural gift choice. Canadians grew up trading and sharing these bars, creating fond memories around the combination of chocolate and cherry. Despite its popularity, the bar gradually disappeared from Canadian shelves in the 1990s, largely due to declining sales and changing consumer tastes. Competition from newer chocolate bars and candy innovations made it difficult for Cherry Blossom to maintain a strong market presence, and Cadbury eventually discontinued it in Canada, though it continued to be sold in some other markets for a time. Today, the Cherry Blossom candy bar lives on in Canadian memory as a nostalgic symbol of a bygone snack era. Its unique combination of cherry, cream, and chocolate, along with its slightly exotic appeal, makes it a standout in the collective memory of those who grew up in the 1970s and 1980s. A sweet reminder of the treats that made Canadian snack culture so distinctive. Sunripe Fruit Leather was a beloved Canadian snack that defined childhood lunches and after-school treats throughout the 1980s and 1990s. Produced by Sunripe, a company known for its fruit juices and fruit-based products, the fruit leather offered a portable, chewy, and sweet way to enjoy real fruit on the go. Unlike gummy candies or overly processed snacks, Sunripe fruit leather emphasized natural fruit content, often made from apple, strawberry, or mixed berry blends. Its tangy sweet flavor, combined with a pliable, chewy texture, made it a hit with kids and a parent-approved alternative to candy. Part of the appeal of Sunripe fruit leather was its convenience. Individually wrapped strips fit perfectly into lunchboxes, backpacks, or pockets, making them an ideal snack for school, sports, or road trips. The thin, flexible sheets could be torn or cut to any size, allowing children to control portions while enjoying the satisfying chewiness. Its vibrant packaging and bright fruit imagery made it visually appealing as well, reinforcing its fun and fruity identity. Marketing often highlighted its Canadian origin and President's Choice flavored sodas were a uniquely Canadian part of the beverage scene during the 1980s and 1990s, offering a range of unconventional and fun soda flavors that stood out from the typical cola or root beer options. Produced by Loblaws under the President's Choice brand, these sodas were marketed as bold, innovative, and distinctly Canadian alternatives for adventurous drinkers looking to try something different. Flavors like cream soda, birch beer, black cherry, and root beer became popular for their novelty and nostalgic charm, giving Canadians a taste experience that was both playful and memorable. What made President's Choice flavored sodas particularly appealing was their combination of accessibility and creativity. Unlike specialty beverages that were expensive or hard to find, these sodas were sold in mainstream grocery stores, making them easy for families to enjoy at home or for kids to grab as part of a lunch or after-school treat. The packaging often featured bright, eye-catching colors with bold lettering, signaling a fun and approachable product. The flavors themselves were distinctive but not overwhelming, offering something different without straying too far from familiar tastes. During their peak in the 1980s, these sodas were often enjoyed during picnics, family gatherings, or backyard barbecues. Many Canadians remember them as part of casual childhood indulgences. Cracking open a bottle of black cherry soda or sipping cream soda after school felt like a special treat. Advertising emphasized the fun and adventurous nature of the sodas, appealing to both kids and adults who wanted a break from the ordinary. By the late 1990s, however, many of the original flavors began to disappear. Changing consumer preferences, health concerns around sugar content, and the introduction of global soda brands gradually reduced the presence of President's Choice flavored sodas in stores. Although some flavors persisted, the full range that had captured the imagination of Canadian consumers faded from everyday availability. Today, President's Choice flavored sodas are remembered fondly as a nostalgic slice of Canadian beverage history. They represent a time when soda brands experimented with bold flavors and local identity, offering Canadians an accessible, fun, and uniquely flavorful way to enjoy a fizzy treat. For those who grew up with them, they remain a symbol of childhood summers, family gatherings, and the simple joy of trying something new. Dare Real Fruit Gummies, classic flavors, were a staple of Canadian childhood snacking in the 1980s and 1990s, offering a chewy, fruity, and brightly colored treat that felt both fun and slightly indulgent. Produced by Dare Foods, a Canadian company with a long history in biscuits and confections, these gummies were marketed as real fruit snacks, emphasizing their natural fruit flavors and slightly softer, more satisfying chew compared to other gelatin-based candies of the era. Popular flavors included strawberry, cherry, orange, and grape, each vibrant in color and bursting with sweet tart flavor. What set Dare Real Fruit Gummies apart was their balance between fun and perceived wholesomeness. Unlike hard candies or chocolate bars, these gummies were easy to portion and enjoy without making a mess, making them a favorite in lunchboxes, after-school snacks, and travel treats. Their playful shapes, often simple fruit slices or geometric designs, added a visual appeal that enhanced the snacking experience. Packaging was bright and cheerful, reflecting the lively fruity flavors inside, while advertising often emphasized both taste and quality, highlighting the use of real fruit ingredients. The gummies' texture was another memorable feature, soft enough to chew easily, yet firm enough to maintain their shape, creating a satisfying mouthfeel that kept kids reaching for more. Parents appreciated that they contained fruit-based ingredients, which made them feel like a slightly better choice compared to conventional candies. The product's accessibility and consistent quality helped it become a household favorite across Canada. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, changing consumer trends and the introduction of new fruit snacks and gummy candies led to a decline in the classic Dare Real Fruit Gummies prominence. While Dare continues to produce gummy products, the original flavors and nostalgic packaging that defined a generation slowly disappeared from store shelves. Today, Dare Real Fruit Gummies are fondly remembered as a quintessential Canadian childhood treat. For those who grew up with them, they evoke memories of lunchboxes, after-school indulgences, and the simple joy of snacking on chewy, fruity bites. They remain a symbol of a more carefree era of Canadian snacking, when sweetness, color, and fun came together in every gummy. President's Choice flavored sodas were a uniquely Canadian part of the beverage scene during the 1980s and 1990s, offering a range of unconventional and fun soda flavors that stood out from the typical cola or root beer options. Produced by Loblaws under the President's Choice brand, these sodas were marketed as bold, innovative, and distinctly Canadian alternatives for adventurous drinkers looking to try something different. Flavors like cream soda, birch beer, black cherry, and root beer became popular for their novelty and nostalgic charm, giving Canadians a taste experience that was both playful and memorable. What made President's Choice flavored sodas particularly appealing was their combination of accessibility and creativity. Unlike specialty beverages that were expensive or hard to find, these sodas were sold in mainstream grocery stores, making them easy for families to enjoy at home or for kids to grab as part of a lunch or after-school treat. The packaging often featured bright, eye-catching colors with bold lettering, signaling a fun and approachable product. The flavors themselves were distinctive but not overwhelming, offering something different without straying too far from familiar tastes. During their peak in the 1980s, these sodas were often enjoyed during picnics, family gatherings, or backyard barbecues. Many Canadians remember them as part of casual childhood indulgences. Cracking open a bottle of black cherry soda or sipping cream soda after school felt like a special treat. Advertising emphasized the fun and adventurous nature of the sodas, appealing to both kids and adults who wanted a break from the ordinary. By the late 1990s, however, many of the original flavors began to disappear. changing consumer preferences, health concerns around sugar content, and the introduction of global soda brands gradually reduced the presence of President's Choice flavored sodas in stores. Although some flavors persisted, the full range that had captured the imagination of Canadian consumers faded from everyday availability. Today, President's Choice flavored sodas are remembered fondly as a nostalgic slice of Canadian beverage history. They represent a time when soda brands experimented with bold flavors and local identity, offering Canadians an accessible, fun, and uniquely flavorful way to enjoy a fizzy treat. For those who grew up with them, they remain a symbol of childhood summers, family gatherings, and the simple joy of trying something new. Dare Real Fruit Gummies, classic flavors, were a staple of Canadian childhood snacking in the 1980s and 1990s, offering a chewy, fruity, and brightly colored treat that felt both fun and slightly indulgent. Produced by Dare Foods, a Canadian company with a long history in biscuits and confections, these gummies were marketed as real fruit snacks, emphasizing their natural fruit flavors and slightly softer, more satisfying chew compared to other gelatin-based candies of the era. Popular flavors included strawberry, cherry, orange, and grape, each vibrant in color and bursting with sweet tart flavor. What set Dare Real Fruit Gummies apart was their balance between fun and perceived wholesomeness. Unlike hard candies or chocolate bars, these gummies were easy to portion and enjoy without making a mess, making them a favorite in lunchboxes, after-school snacks, and travel treats. Their playful shapes, often simple fruit slices or geometric designs, added a visual appeal that enhanced the snacking experience. Packaging was bright and cheerful, reflecting the lively, fruity flavors inside, while advertising often emphasized both taste and quality, highlighting the use of real fruit ingredients. The gummies' texture was another memorable feature, soft enough to chew easily, yet firm enough to maintain their shape, creating a satisfying mouthfeel that kept kids reaching for more. Parents appreciated that they contained fruit-based ingredients, which made them feel like a slightly better choice compared to conventional candies. The product's accessibility and consistent quality helped it become a household favorite across Canada. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, changing consumer trends and the introduction of new fruit snacks and gummy candies led to a decline in the classic Dare Real Fruit Gummies prominence. While Dare continues to produce gummy products, the original flavors and nostalgic packaging that defined a generation slowly disappeared from store shelves. Today, Dare Real Fruit Gummies are fondly remembered as a quintessential Canadian childhood treat. For those who grew up with them, they evoke memories of lunchboxes, after-school indulgences, and the simple joy of snacking on chewy, fruity bites. They remain a symbol of a more carefree era of Canadian snacking, when sweetness, color, and fun came together in every gummy. Bics Sweet Pickled Onions were a uniquely Canadian pantry staple, especially popular from the 1970s through the 1980s. Produced by Bics, a brand renowned for its pickles and condiments, these small, round onions were preserved in a tangy, sweet brine that combined vinegar, sugar, and spices to create a flavor profile that was both punchy and satisfying. Canadians often enjoyed them as a versatile addition to sandwiches, charcuterie boards, or as a crunchy accompaniment to meats and cheeses. For many households, Bics sweet pickled onions were more than a condiment. They were a nostalgic symbol of family gatherings, picnics, and backyard barbecues. What made these pickled onions particularly memorable was their balance of flavors. The sweetness softened the sharpness of the vinegar, while the brine infused each tiny onion with a tangy, slightly spicy depth. Unlike ordinary pickles, the small size of the onions made them perfect for snacking straight from the jar, or for adding a pop of flavor to recipes without overpowering other ingredients. Packaging often featured the iconic Bics label with a bright, simple design, reinforcing its status as a trusted Canadian brand. Bics sweet pickled onions were often enjoyed during special occasions as well as casual meals. They were a popular choice at holiday dinners and social gatherings, frequently served alongside meats, cold cuts, or in relishes. Many Canadian families developed their own traditions with them, such as pairing them with roast beef sandwiches or using them to jazz up a simple cheese platter. Their distinctive taste and texture made them stand out in a market crowded with standard pickles and relishes. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, however, changing consumer tastes and increased competition from other condiments and international brands led to a decline in their prominence. Health-conscious trends and shifting flavor preferences gradually reduced their presence on store shelves, and Bics eventually discontinued the product in many regions. Today, Bics sweet pickled onions are remembered with fond nostalgia by Canadians who grew up enjoying their tangy sweet crunch. They represent a simpler era of home cooking and snacking, when a small jar of pickled onions could transform everyday meals into memorable, flavorful experiences. Ruffles loaded potato skins. Chips were a distinctly Canadian snack innovation that captured the attention of chip lovers in the 1990s. Produced by Frito-Lay under the Ruffles brand, these chips were designed to replicate the flavors of the classic appetizer: potato skins topped with cheese, bacon, and green onions, in a crunchy, convenient chip form. They offered the bold, indulgent taste of a loaded potato without the need for preparation or utensils, making them a perfect snack for parties, after-school munching, or late-night cravings. The appeal of Ruffles loaded potato skins. Chips lay in their clever combination of taste and texture. True to the Ruffles brand, they featured the signature ridges, which were ideal for holding seasoning and delivering an intense burst of flavor in every bite. The chips were coated with a blend of smoky, cheesy, and savory spices, capturing the essence of the loaded potato skins experience. For many Canadians, opening a bag felt like enjoying a mini appetizer in snack form, offering both comfort and indulgence. Marketing for these chips emphasized their boldness and fun factor. Commercials often depicted friends and families enjoying them at gatherings, emphasizing the snack's ability to replicate a favorite restaurant treat at home. The product packaging reinforced this appeal, featuring images of cheesy potato skins piled high with toppings, promising a flavorful and satisfying experience. Despite their initial popularity, Ruffles loaded potato skins. Chips gradually disappeared from Canadian shelves by the late 1990s. Shifts in consumer tastes, the rise of competing flavored chips, and a focus on health-conscious snacking contributed to their decline. While Frito-Lay continued to innovate with new flavors, The unique combination of loaded potato flavor in chip form became harder to find in stores. Today, Ruffles loaded potato skins. Chips are remembered with nostalgia as a bold, indulgent snack that captured a very specific era of Canadian snacking culture. For those who grew up with them, they evoke memories of family gatherings, after-school treats, and the delight of enjoying a chip that tasted like a mini appetizer, combining crunch, flavor, and a touch of culinary creativity in every bite. McCain Deep and Delicious Individual Cakes were a quintessential Canadian snack that brought convenience and indulgence to households throughout the 1980s and 1990s. Produced by McCain, a company best known for its frozen foods, these individually wrapped chocolate cakes were designed as a personal-sized treat, making them perfect for lunchboxes, after-school snacks, or a quick dessert at home. Each cake typically featured a soft, moist chocolate sponge surrounding a rich, creamy chocolate filling, with a smooth layer of icing on top, creating a multi-layered experience that was both decadent and satisfying. The appeal of deep and delicious individual cakes lay in their convenience and consistency. Unlike homemade desserts, these cakes were ready to eat straight from the package, yet they managed to retain a freshness and indulgence that made them feel special. Children and adults alike appreciated the balance of textures. The tender cake, the creamy filling, and the smooth icing combined to create a treat that was richer than a standard snack cake, yet perfectly portioned for one person. Their chocolate-forward flavor made them an instant favorite among chocolate lovers, while the individual packaging made them easy to pack for school lunches or store in the pantry for spontaneous cravings. Marketing for Deep and Delicious. Individual cakes emphasized both indulgence and practicality. Advertisements often portrayed families enjoying them at home or kids savoring a treat after school, highlighting the idea that everyone could enjoy a moment of chocolatey pleasure without the need for preparation. The brand's consistent quality and familiar taste helped it become a household name across Canada, cementing its place in snack culture. Over time, however, the prominence of McCain Deep and Delicious individual cakes declined as consumer preferences shifted toward newer, often healthier snack options. While McCain continued producing frozen desserts and cakes, the classic individually wrapped chocolate cakes became less visible on store shelves, gradually becoming a nostalgic memory for those who grew up with them. Today, these cakes are fondly remembered by Canadians as a symbol of simple indulgence. They evoke memories of lunchboxes, after-school treats, and quick moments of sweetness, representing an era when convenience and rich chocolate flavor combined to create the perfect personal dessert. Aero Truffle Limited Editions were a decadent twist on the classic Aero chocolate bar, offering Canadian consumers a uniquely indulgent experience during the 1990s and early 2000s. Produced by Nestlé, these limited edition treats combine the signature light, bubbly texture of Aero chocolate with a smooth, rich truffle center, creating a luxurious contrast between airy chocolate and creamy filling. Unlike the standard Aero bars, the truffle editions were often released seasonally or in special flavors, making them highly anticipated among chocolate enthusiasts and collectors alike. The appeal of Aero truffle lay in its innovative texture and flavor combinations. The familiar bubbly milk chocolate provided a light melt-in-your-mouth sensation, while the truffle filling added depth and richness, creating a more sophisticated and indulgent experience than the standard bar. Flavors ranged from classic milk chocolate truffle to seasonal variations like dark chocolate or mint truffle, giving consumers the thrill of trying something new while maintaining the comforting familiarity of Aero's iconic texture. The packaging for these limited editions often highlighted their premium nature, with glossy designs and elegant imagery that distinguished them from everyday chocolate bars. Aero Truffle was marketed as both a treat for special occasions and a collectible snack. Canadian consumers often sought them out during holidays like Christmas, Easter, or Valentine's Day. Aero Truffle limited editions eventually disappeared as Nestlé shifted focus toward other chocolate innovations and mainstream products. Today, Aero Truffle limited editions are remembered fondly by Canadians as a luxurious, playful twist on a classic favorite. They evoke memories of special treats, seasonal indulgences, and the excitement of trying something unique, representing an era when chocolate innovation met the whimsy of limited edition releases. For many, Aero Truffle remains a symbol of sweet nostalgia and the joy of discovering a little extra chocolate magic on an otherwise ordinary day. Little Debbie snacks, Canadian distribution, were a notable part of Canada's snack culture during the 1980s and early 1990s, offering Canadian consumers access to the same indulgent treats that had already captured hearts in the United States. Produced by McKee Foods, Little Debbie products included a wide range of snack cakes such as Swiss roll, oatmeal cream pies, nutty bars, and cosmic brownies. Their arrival in Canadian stores provided families with convenient, individually wrapped treats that could be enjoyed at home, packed into lunch boxes, or shared during after-school snacks. The appeal of Little Debbie snacks in Canada lay in their combination of convenience, flavor, and nostalgic charm. Each snack cake was carefully portioned, sweet but not overwhelmingly so, and consistent in taste and texture, which made them ideal for both children and adults. The individually wrapped format allowed for easy storage, sharing, and portability, which was particularly attractive to busy families. Little Debbie's products often stood out on shelves for their bright, colorful packaging, featuring playful branding and appetizing images of the treats inside, making them instantly recognizable to shoppers. Marketing emphasized both fun and reliability. Canadian advertisements often highlighted the snacks as perfect companions for school lunches, after-school treats, or quick indulgences, while maintaining the image of wholesome, enjoyable snacking. The snacks were widely available in grocery stores, convenience stores, and vending machines, helping cement Little Debbie's presence in Canadian households alongside domestic snack brands. Over time, however, the distribution of Little Debbie snacks in Canada declined. Factors such as rising import costs, competition from local snack cakes, and changing consumer preferences toward healthier options contributed to their reduced availability. While some products occasionally resurfaced through specialty import stores or online retailers, the widespread presence that characterized the 1980s and early 1990s gradually faded. Today, Little Debbie snacks are remembered fondly by Canadians who grew up enjoying their sweet, convenient treats. They evoke memories of lunchboxes, schoolyard sharing, and moments of indulgence that felt both familiar and special. For many, Little Debbie represents a nostalgic link to a period when snack cakes were an essential part of Canadian childhoods. blending sweetness, fun, and convenience in every individually wrapped bite. Skippy peanut butter was a popular staple in Canadian households during the 1970s through the 1980s, renowned for its creamy texture, rich flavor, and versatility in the kitchen. Imported from the United States, Skippy became a trusted choice for families looking to add a nutty, satisfying spread to sandwiches, snacks, and baking. Its smooth, easily spreadable consistency made it ideal for peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, toast, or as a key ingredient in cookies, squares, and other homemade treats. For many Canadians, Skippy represented a familiar taste of indulgence and comfort, evoking memories of childhood lunches and family snacks. The appeal of Skippy peanut butter lay in its balanced flavor and texture. Unlike some other brands available at the time, it offered a creamy, homogeneous consistency that didn't separate easily, saving time and hassle for busy households. The taste was slightly sweet, with a roasted peanut richness that was both approachable for children and satisfying for adults. Skippy's reputation for quality and consistency helped it earn a loyal following, particularly among families who valued a dependable, tasty spread for everyday use. Marketing emphasized both the convenience and the deliciousness of Skippy. Advertisements highlighted its smooth texture, peanut-forward flavor, and versatility, encouraging Canadians to incorporate it into meals, snacks, and recipes. Its recognizable blue and red label became a symbol of reliability, and many families stocked it alongside bread, jam, and other lunchbox essentials, making it a staple of Canadian kitchens. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, competition from domestic brands, including Kraft and Beatrice, as well as emerging natural and alternative nut butters, gradually reduced Skippy's market dominance in Canada. While it remained available in select stores, the widespread familiarity and everyday presence it once enjoyed began to decline. Today, Skippy peanut butter is remembered nostalgically by Canadians as a classic, comforting snack and kitchen essential. For those who grew up with it, the creamy, rich taste evokes memories of childhood sandwiches, after-school snacks, and simple pleasures, making it a lasting symbol of sweet, nutty nostalgia from an earlier era of Canadian snacking. Jell-O pudding pops were a frozen treat that captured the imaginations and taste buds of Canadian children and families during the 1980s and early 1990s. Produced by Jell-O, these pops combined the creamy texture of pudding with the convenience of an ice pop, creating a fun and indulgent dessert that was both satisfying and portable. Flavors such as chocolate, vanilla, and occasionally seasonal varieties made them a versatile treat, appealing to a wide range of palates. Their soft, creamy consistency set them apart from standard ice pops or ice cream bars, offering a unique frozen snack experience that was both smooth and flavorful. The appeal of Jell-O pudding pops lay in their playful and nostalgic qualities. Unlike ordinary frozen desserts, they offered the comforting taste of classic pudding in a convenient handheld format. Children loved the fun of holding a frozen pudding treat and enjoying it slowly as it softened in the mouth, while parents appreciated that it provided a sweet indulgence that felt slightly more substantial than a simple popsicle. Packaging often emphasized bright, cheerful colors and fun imagery, making them instantly recognizable in freezers across Canadian households. Marketing highlighted both the novelty and the deliciousness of pudding pops. Television commercials often showcased kids enjoying them on hot summer days or as a fun snack after school, portraying the pops as a treat that brought smiles and delight to everyday moments. The combination of the trusted Jell-O brand with the innovative frozen format helped the product carve out a special place in Canadian snacking culture. By the mid-1990s, however, Jell-O pudding pops gradually disappeared from Canadian shelves. Changing consumer tastes, competition from other frozen novelties, and shifts in brand focus contributed to their decline, leaving them as a nostalgic memory for those who grew up enjoying them. Today, Jell-O pudding pops are fondly remembered as a symbol of childhood summers and sweet, creamy indulgence. They evoke memories of after-school treats, family picnics, and the simple joy of enjoying a frozen dessert that combine the comfort of pudding with the fun of a popsicle, making them an iconic part of Canadian snack history. PB Crisps were a uniquely Canadian snack that captured the imagination of peanut butter lovers during the 1980s and early 1990s. Marketed as a light, crispy treat filled with rich peanut butter, these bite-sized snacks offered the indulgent flavor of peanut butter in a convenient, crunchy form. They quickly became a favorite among children for lunchboxes and after-school snacks, while adults appreciated them as a satisfying, portable sweet treat that paired perfectly with a cup of coffee or tea. What made PB Crisps memorable was their texture and flavor combination. The outer shell was thin and crisp, giving way to a creamy, slightly sweet peanut butter center. This contrast created a snack that was both crunchy and smooth, delivering a rich, nutty taste without feeling heavy or overly sweet. The individual pieces were easy to portion, making them ideal for sharing or controlling snack size. Their packaging often highlighted the peanut butter content with bright, appealing imagery, making them stand out on store shelves and immediately recognizable to consumers. Marketing for PB Crisps emphasized their peanut butter goodness and convenience. Advertisements targeted both children and adults, presenting the snack as a fun, satisfying treat that could be enjoyed anytime, whether at school, work, or home. The focus on quality ingredients and the signature peanut butter taste helped establish PB Crisps as a trusted, beloved Canadian snack. Despite their popularity, PB Crisps gradually disappeared from Canadian stores by the late 1990s. Changing consumer preferences, the rise of competing peanut butter snacks, and shifting trends in sweet treats contributed to their decline. While similar products have occasionally resurfaced in modern snack aisles, the original PB Crisps remain a nostalgic memory for those who enjoyed them during their peak. Today, PB Crisps are remembered fondly by Canadians as a quintessential peanut butter snack. They evoke memories of lunchboxes, after-school indulgences, and simple moments of sweet satisfaction. For many, PB Crisps represent a golden era of Canadian snacking, when a crunchy, peanut butter-filled treat could deliver both joy and nostalgia in every bite. Nintendo cereal was a distinctly 1980s Canadian breakfast phenomenon that combined the excitement of video games with the morning ritual of cereal. Launched during the height of Nintendo's popularity, This cereal was part of a trend that capitalized on beloved video game characters, bringing the adventures of Mario, Zelda, and other iconic figures to the breakfast table. It offered a playful way for children to start their day, turning an ordinary meal into a moment of fun and fantasy, while appealing to parents as a novelty that encouraged kids to eat breakfast. The cereal itself typically featured lightly sweetened, crunchy pieces shaped in simple geometric forms, often with a mild vanilla or chocolate flavor. What truly set Nintendo cereal apart was its packaging and marketing, which showcased vibrant illustrations of popular Nintendo characters in action-packed scenes. Each box became a collectible in its own right, and the front-facing characters created a sense of excitement and anticipation for children who felt like they were joining their favorite heroes on adventures before even leaving the breakfast table. Nintendo cereal was also memorable for the prizes and promotions included in the boxes. Many editions offered stickers, trading cards, or small toys featuring Nintendo characters, enhancing the interactive experience and creating an added layer of engagement beyond just eating the cereal. These extras contributed to the cereal's iconic status, as kids eagerly anticipated which prize they might get while enjoying their breakfast. Despite its popularity, Nintendo cereal disappeared from Canadian shelves by the early 1990s. Shifts in marketing strategies, the rise of new breakfast options, and changes in licensing agreements led to the end of this limited-run product. However, it left a lasting impression on a generation of Canadian children who remember the excitement of eating their favorite video game characters each morning. Today, Nintendo cereal is fondly remembered as a nostalgic symbol of 1980s Canadian childhoods. It evokes memories of early gaming enthusiasm, colorful cereal boxes, and collectible prizes, representing a time when breakfast could be both fun and immersive. For many, it remains a sweet reminder of the intersection between gaming culture and everyday life, encapsulating the playful spirit of an era gone by. Magic Middle cookies were a beloved Canadian treat that captured the hearts of children and snack enthusiasts throughout the 1980s and early 1990s. Produced as individually packaged sandwich cookies, Magic Middles featured a soft, chewy outer cookie surrounding a sweet, creamy filling. What made them truly magic was the playful combination of flavors and textures. The tender cookie paired with a smooth, rich center created a satisfying bite that was both indulgent and fun to eat. The cookies were often marketed in bright, colorful packaging that highlighted their whimsical appeal, making them instantly attractive to kids in lunchboxes and snack aisles. The appeal of Magic Middles cookies lay not just in their taste, but also in their versatility as a snack. They were perfect for school lunches, after-school treats, or a quick indulgence at home. Unlike some other mass-produced cookies, the filling of Magic Middles felt generous and flavorful, often with hints of vanilla, chocolate, or other sweet flavors that enhance the cookie experience. Their soft texture contrasted with the creamy middle, creating a sensory combination that made them memorable and highly enjoyable. Marketing emphasized both the fun and convenience of Magic Middles cookies. Advertisements targeted children with playful slogans and imagery, positioning the cookies as a snack that could turn an ordinary moment into a little celebration. Parents appreciated the individually wrapped portions, which made it easy to pack in lunches or control servings, while kids loved the magic of discovering the creamy center in every bite. Over time, Magic Middle cookies gradually disappeared from Canadian stores, largely due to shifting consumer tastes, increasing competition from other cookie brands, and changes in snack marketing trends. Despite this, the cookies left a lasting impression on those who grew up enjoying them. Today, Magic Middle cookies are remembered with nostalgia as a quintessential Canadian childhood treat. They evoke memories of lunchboxes, after-school snacks, and sweet, playful indulgence. For many, they represent an era when snack time combined flavor, fun, and a touch of magic in every creamy cookie-filled bite. Nabisco Swiss cheese crackers were a beloved Canadian snack that delighted households throughout the 1970s and 1980s. Produced by Nabisco, these crackers were a unique twist on the classic cheese cracker, featuring a mild, nutty Swiss cheese flavor that set them apart from other cheese crackers, apart from the more common cheddar-based varieties. Their square shape, crisp texture, and distinctive taste made them ideal for snacking on their own, pairing with dips, or serving alongside soups and salads. For many Canadians, they became a pantry staple, valued for both their flavor and versatility. The appeal of Nabisco Swiss cheese crackers lay in their subtle yet memorable taste. Unlike stronger cheese snacks that could overwhelm the palate, the Swiss cheese provided a delicate, slightly sweet nuttiness that complemented the lightly salted, buttery cracker base. This balance of flavors made them enjoyable as a snack at any time of day, whether in lunchboxes, at work, or as a casual accompaniment to cheese and charcuterie boards. The crisp, light texture also gave the crackers a satisfying crunch, enhancing the eating experience and making them particularly addictive. Marketing emphasized the premium quality and distinctiveness of the crackers. The packaging often highlighted the Swiss cheese ingredient and the classic Nabisco branding, positioning the product as a slightly upscale alternative to standard cheese crackers. Advertisements targeted families and adults alike, presenting them as a versatile snack, suitable for both casual snacking and entertaining guests. Despite their popularity, Nabisco Swiss cheese crackers gradually vanished from Canadian shelves by the late 1980s and early 1990s. Changing consumer tastes, competition from other cheese-flavored snacks, and evolving marketing strategies contributed to their decline. While some cheese crackers have persisted in the Canadian market, the Swiss cheese variety holds a nostalgic place in the memories of those who grew up enjoying its unique flavor. Today, Nabisco Swiss cheese crackers are remembered fondly as a classic Canadian snack. They evoke memories of childhood lunches, family gatherings, and simple yet satisfying snacking moments. For many, they represent an era when a small cracker could deliver a distinctive, flavorful experience that combined the charm of Swiss cheese with the trusted quality of Nabisco. Wheat Crunch chips were a popular Canadian snack during the 1980s and early 1990s, known for their distinctive texture and wholesome appeal. Produced as a baked alternative to traditional potato chips, Wheat Crunch chips offered a crispy, crunchy snack that emphasized wheat as the primary ingredient. Their lightly salted, subtly nutty flavor made them appealing to both children and adults, offering a satisfying crunch that was ideal for casual snacking, lunchboxes, or pairing with dips. For many Canadians, they represented a healthier yet tasty alternative to more indulgent chips of the era. The appeal of Wheat Crunch chips lay in their unique texture and flavor profile. Unlike greasy or heavily seasoned chips, these snacks were crisp but not oily, with a hearty, slightly toasted wheat taste that stood out in the crowded snack aisle. The crunchiness gave each bite a satisfying mouthfeel, while the simplicity of the seasoning allowed the natural wheat flavor to shine. This combination made them versatile, enjoyable on their own, alongside sandwiches or dipped in salsa, cheese spreads, or other accompaniments. Today, Wheat Crunch chips are fondly remembered as a classic Canadian snack that balanced flavor, crunch, and a touch of health-conscious appeal. They evoke memories of lunchboxes, after-school snacks, and casual snacking moments, representing a time when a simple wheat-based chip could satisfy cravings while feeling a little more wholesome than the alternatives. Dad's Goody Rings were a beloved Canadian snack that made waves in households during the 1980s and early 1990s. These ring-shaped cookies were light, crisp, and subtly sweet, offering a fun and approachable treat for children and adults alike. Their unique circular shape made them instantly recognizable and appealing, while the texture, crunchy yet delicate, set them apart from ordinary cookies. For many Canadians, Dad's Goody Rings were a staple in lunchboxes, after-school snacks, or an anytime indulgence with a cup of milk or tea. The charm of Dad's Goody Rings lay in their simplicity and versatility. The mildly sweet flavor made them enjoyable on their own, while their crisp texture allowed them to pair well with spreads, dips, or even as a crunchy addition to dessert creations. Their consistent quality and shape made them particularly convenient for portion control, allowing parents to pack just the right amount for kids' lunches or for casual snacking at home. The light sweetness and appealing crunch created a satisfying bite without feeling overly heavy or cloying, a balance that contributed to their popularity. Marketing for Dad's Goody Rings emphasized fun, family-friendly enjoyment. Advertisements often highlighted the playful ring shape and the cookie's light, crisp texture, presenting them as a snack that could be enjoyed at home or on the go. The packaging featured bright, cheerful colors and imagery that attracted children, while the product's reliability and taste appealed to parents seeking a simple, enjoyable treat for their families. Despite their widespread popularity, Dad's Goody Rings gradually disappeared from Canadian stores by the late 1990s. Competition from other cookie brands, changing consumer preferences, and evolving snack trends contributed to their decline. While similar cookies have appeared in modern markets, the original Dad's Goody Rings remain a fond memory for those who grew up with them. Today, Dad's Goody Rings are remembered nostalgically as a quintessential Canadian snack. They evoke memories of lunchboxes, after-school treats, and simple moments of enjoyment. For many, they symbolize a time when snack foods were playful, convenient, and just the right balance of sweet and satisfying. Orbit's drink was one of the most visually striking beverages to ever appear on Canadian store shelves during the late 1990s. Produced by Clearly Canadian, Orbit's was a novelty soft drink unlike anything else at the time. It contained tiny, floating gel-like spheres suspended in brightly colored clear liquid. This unusual, almost otherworldly presentation immediately caught the attention of consumers, making it as much a curiosity and conversation piece as it was a drink. Its unique appearance, combined with a variety of tropical and fruit-inspired flavors, made Orbits a memorable part of Canadian beverage culture for those who experienced it. The appeal of Orbits drink lay primarily in its unusual visual and sensory experience. The floating spheres, often brightly colored and suspended in the liquid, gave the impression of a drink straight out of a science experiment or futuristic film. While the drink itself was lightly sweetened and fruit-flavored, the novelty factor often overshadowed the taste. Consumers were captivated by the way the spheres bounced and floated in the clear liquid, creating an interactive and playful drinking experience. It was both fun and perplexing, a drink that invited curiosity and experimentation. The drink remains a fleeting yet unforgettable part of Canadian beverage history. Today, Orbits drink is remembered nostalgically as a playful and futuristic experiment in soft drinks. It evokes memories of novelty stores, summer curiosity, and the excitement of trying something truly unusual. For many Canadians, Orbits represents a brief but memorable era, when beverages could be as visually surprising as they were sweet and refreshing. And that's a wrap on 30 Canadian meals that vanished after the 1980s. Which ones do you remember most? If this trip down memory lane brought back some tasty memories, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more nostalgic food content.